Hey guys, real fast, what is enhanced stand your ground law and why does Iowa need it so badly? Here's the facts. Iowa has stand your ground law on the books, but as we all know, it's weak. So despite stand your ground law, if we use our firearm in a self-defense situation, in the eyes of the law, we're presumed guilty. That's backwards. Enhanced stand your ground law presumes that we're innocent and forces the government to prove our guilt in court. But that's not all. Here in Iowa right now, we can only use stand your ground law on an appeal after a Soros-backed prosecutor has ruined our lives. We're going to fix that problem as well with this bill. Guys, Iowa needs these protections badly. Get involved in that fight today. Hey guys, Aaron Dorr here with Iowa Gun Owners. I want to give you guys some more of the details about this bill and why it's so important here in Iowa right now. Now, again, many of you, probably all of you, were involved in our fight to pass Stand Your Ground law in 2017. If you weren't, you might not know that House Republicans definitely watered down the impact of that bill on final passage. So right now here in Iowa, despite having this law on the books, you and I are presumed guilty anytime an Iowan uses a firearm in a self-defense situation. And what that does is gives incredible power to county attorneys who have all the time, all the money to go after you with everything they've got. And there may have been a time when it wasn't a big deal. There may have been a time when we could trust all of our county attorneys to pursue justice and not try to screw over a gun owner because they happen to hate the Second Amendment. But those days are over. We've all seen what happened to Mark McCloskey in Missouri. We watched what happened to Kyle Rittenhouse in Wisconsin. And we all know that giving county attorneys the power to ruin a gun owner's life is absolutely atrocious. We must deal with this. And this is no longer a hypothetical here in Iowa. Kimberly Graham just became the elected county attorney here in Polk County. Kimberly Graham did so with $300,000 of funding from George Soros. It's all the news. You can Google it. It's a publicly verifiable fact. So right here in Polk County, we have a Soros-backed prosecutor who's going to make it her mission in life to go easy on criminals, but to lower the hammer on a gun owner who was forced to defend himself. Until we give the presumption of innocence to gun owners, we are all of us in jeopardy of being prosecuted by a ruthless Soros-backed agent like Kimberly Graham. And again, that's why dozens of states have dealt with this. Red states and blue states, 19 of them have already passed legislation to enhance Stand Your Ground law and give that presumption of innocence to a gun owner. And I want to be clear on what this means. In the eyes of the law, again, this is America. We're all innocent until proven guilty. That's how it should be. And so with this legislation, the same presumption of innocence would protect a drug-dealing murderer. I want to be very clear on this. A drug-dealing murderer who shoots his competition on the east side of Des Moines, the same way it protects a stay-at-home housewife in rural Sheldon, Iowa, who defends herself from a violent home invader. So when the media screams that we're trying to protect murderers, you have to understand that's all BS. The law must be equally applied to everybody. And any county attorney worth their salt can easily convict a murderer who shot his drug-dealing competition on the east side of Des Moines. But again, it should be hard. And it should be hard to convict somebody, a stay-at-home wife, to use our example, of a crime when it wasn't a crime in the first place. So we're going to protect everybody equally and force the county attorneys to do their job and make their case in court. That's number one. But number two, and kind of as part of that, we're going to make it dang clear that you cannot arrest a gun owner just because there's been a shooting. And we've all watched this play out across the state in various cases. The highest profile case so far was J. Rodney Lewis, also right here in Polk County, where he shot somebody in justifiable self-defense. The jury found him guilty almost immediately. But because Iowa has a weak stand your ground law, he was arrested just because. And that's the moniker in many cases. If there's a shooting, if someone's been shot or killed and somebody else did the shooting, that person has to be arrested just because. And we'll figure it out later in court. Well, that's crap. That's crap. Our bill would specify that there must be probable cause before you can arrest anybody. That's how it should be anyway, because you've already been victimized or almost victimized by the thug on the street and forced to shoot him or her. The last thing you should worry about is being arrested because some prosecutor hates gun owners and wants to ruin your life. We're going to fix that with this bill as well. Number 3, we're going to, in very clear detail, cover the threatened use of force, not just the actual use of force. Remember, Mark McCloskey didn't shoot anybody, right? He held his AR-15 in his hands. He stopped a mob of 400 people, many of whom were armed and were threatening to rape and kill his wife. Mark's a friend. I heard the story firsthand. It's an amazing story. He did a great job. Everyone should be proud of what he did. But because Missouri, like Iowa, does not cover the threatened use of force, he went through hell at the hands of Kim Gardner, another Soros-backed prosecutor in St. Louis. The same thing could happen to Iowans here. So our bill is going to clarify that while brandishing is still a crime, there must be a carve-out for the justifiable display or the justifiable threatened use of force. That's the goal we all want. We don't want to shoot anybody. We want to display our firearm and watch that armed robber retreat. And when that happens, the law should protect us, not the criminal. And finally, number 4, we're going to clarify in the code exactly when and how we can use stand your ground law protections. Again, right now, you can only invoke stand your ground law after you've been convicted as a part of your appeal. And that might sound like no big deal if you haven't thought about it, but remember, this is after 12 months or 18 months of just hell on earth. Your life is over. You've been convicted of murder. Your job, you lost your job. You're broke from legal fees. Your neighbors, your community, your church, your fellow parents at school, they all think you're a murderer. Your life is hanging on by a thread. Your marriage is probably about to collapse. And now you get to present stand your ground law to prove your innocence. That should never happen here in Iowa. What we've done with this bill is to clarify that we can invoke stand your ground law in a pre-trial hearing. So before your life has been dragged through the mud, your lawyers can go before the judge and say, Your Honor, my client admits he shot this individual. Here's the reason why. This is certainly justifiable given Iowa has a stand your ground law. We want this case to be dismissed in light of the law. And if the judge agrees, that's it. You walk out. Remember what it looked like and what it felt like when you watched Kyle Rittenhouse collapse in the courtroom into a puddle of tears when he was declared not guilty. He knew that if they went the opposite direction, he was going to spend the rest of his life in prison as a 17-year-old child. That kind of weight should never be upon an Iowan who uses justifiable force. We shouldn't have to hope and pray that a Kimberly Graham-style county attorney can't ruin our life. By invoking these protections up front in a pretrial hearing, we'll spare Iowans from that horrific situation. So, guys, that's what the bill would do. I want to be very clear on this. Again, this is not new. It's only new here in Iowa. Dozens of other states, California, Florida, Pennsylvania, mega population states, you got East Coast states, West Coast states, red states, blue states have all done this. It's time Iowa does the same thing. With Kimberly Graham in office here in Polk County, it's never been more important. So guys, get involved in this fight. Get more information on our website, iowagunowners.org, and we'll keep you guys informed. Or join the fight today as a member. Go to joinigo.com. Take care.